Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Kate. I'm a third grade teacher in San Diego, California, and I'm going into my 16th year of teaching. Also, it's really hot in my house. Hashtag I'm melting. Anyone else? Okay, in all seriousness though, at the end of last year, I had come up with this idea to do kind of a end of the year favorite activity, and a bunch of my teacher tuber friends all jumped on board. There is a playlist. I will have it linked down below if you want to see that, but it made me think about doing one for the beginning of the year. But we wanted to make sure that if you are starting soon, that you had some ideas to pull from. Not everybody from the end of the year one could do this one, and then we have a few new people who have joined in. So definitely click the playlist down below so that you can see all of these amazing ideas. And I know that they're gonna be amazing. So let's get into this. I'm gonna talk to you about my favorite thing that I do in the first week of school. And so if you watched my previous video where I talked about interactive notebooks, you know that writing is a big focus for me as a teacher in third grade and for my team. Well, you know, I think it's important that we not only have structured writing, but that we have more organic writing. So the students have opportunities to express themselves in a variety of ways. One of my favorite things that I do with my students is the decoration of our personal writing notebooks. Now we're going to talk about the different materials and kind of just what it is, why we're making these notebooks, and then kind of how I roll it out for the students, and then just how we use it. So let's talk about the materials first. Okay, so the materials are pretty simple. You're going to need a composition book, you're going to need magazines, you're going to need scissors, and you're gonna need glue sticks. Now, I prefer glue sticks in third grade, but if you wanna use glue bottles, go for it. All right, oh, and you'll need a Sharpie. Okay, so in my classroom, we have these two writing notebooks, and the first is very structured. If you've not watched my video on interactive student notebooks, kind of how I set it up, you should go look at that. The whole idea about having a structured writing notebook is that we can house all of the brainstorms and the mini lessons and the grammar, and all of the practice can go inside that book. And we break it up into the three main parts that we teach: narrative, informational, and opinion. But we do so much more writing than just those three types. There is so much. We'll practice poems. We practice things called finish the story. There's so many different options that we can do, and they don't fit into the structured notebook. So we have to have a second notebook. Now, one of the reasons we do this is it's during our unit how we express ourselves. So the kids get to decorate their notebooks, expressing kind of who they are and the things that they love through picture. So we always tell the kids on our supply list, let me just backtrack a little bit here. On our supply list, this is something that is handed out, and parents have access to it as soon as the end of the year is near. They have access to the next one. So anybody could get our supply list at any time. Any parent who says, yeah, my kid's going into third grade, they can just go to our website, they can pull it up, and it's always there by, I wanna say, by the end of school, if not sooner. And on that, one of the items on our list is we say that you need to bring in photographs, you need to bring in magazine cuttings that represent your child. Child needs to pick out magazine cuttings and to put them into a Ziploc bag with their name on it, and that they can also bring extra magazines for the day of. So this is really great to have that on the supply list, because the reality is if we wait until Monday, some parents just won't be able to get it done. Some kids won't be able to get it done. However, with that being said, there are still many kids who had the supply list, didn't bring the items in, have known the entire week and still didn't do it. So in addition, I think it's important that you also have magazines for your students to choose from. So I'm gonna talk to you about the magazines that typically I have in my room. So these ones here, in all honesty, I was walking by the little free library here in my neighborhood, and they were in there. So I was like, yep, school's coming. I know I'm gonna need it, so grabbed those. Okay, so now let's talk about how I actually do this with my students. So I will not spend more than about an hour, and that includes me telling the students what's the expectations, what they need to do. The whole thing should take about no more than an hour, because even your best kids, about an hour in, they have the potential to find some trouble, if you get my drift. So what's gonna happen is this. I'm gonna have the students completely clear their desks. I have big black tubs, and in those black tubs, I have 6 of them. I have 6 desks, I have 6 of them. It just worked out, or no, I think I have 5 of them. And so what I do is I have a student put one black tub kind of in the center of each table group. And that is gonna be the trash bin. Now, I don't tell them to touch anything, they don't put anything, they don't need pencils for this, nothing. And so as the students are there, now you could wait if you think like your kids are gonna be like touching the little bucket while you're talking and that's gonna bother you, then wait until the very end. So I explained to my students that I'm gonna be playing some music during this time, and typically I like to use Jack Johnson kids radio. I don't have, I don't pay for Pandora, so oftentimes I have to listen to different ads. You know, sometimes it's a little bit like, and other times it's like whatever. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But if it bothers you, then you're gonna have to figure out something else. Okay, so I explained to my students kind of about why, like what we're gonna do, and then I explain about the notebooks, and I just talked to them about why it's important to have a place for them to express themselves that is a little bit more, with a little bit more freedom. And they really like that idea. I would say the majority of them do. I mean, obviously you have some kids who are not like a fan of writing, so you know, they're not gonna write that much in here, and that's okay too. So what I tell them is that if the students brought their own magazines and somebody near them sees a picture that they really want, like let's say they're going through and they're like, oh my gosh, I really love this apple, right? And the magazine belongs to somebody else, they have to go up and ask that student if it is okay if they borrow their magazine. And I remind the students that they have the right to say no or yes. And if the person says no, then the person who wants to borrow it has to move on. They can't give them a hard time about it. They can't sit there and like beg for it. If the person says, nope, I need that, like, that's it. It's their magazine. The other option that I tell kids is like, okay, well, if you look on like both sides and you don't need either side, but you still want the magazine, you can rip it out. If you're not very good at ripping it out, and trust me, they are not, then I can help rip it out. So that is an option to get around it. Stickers are totally fine. They can use that as well. I also explained to the students about just scissors and glue sticks and all of those things. So they are very aware of what my expectation is, and they're very aware of what the end product needs to look like. Now, of course, with that said, some students are just not gonna finish decorating in time, and others are gonna try to be done in like 5 seconds, right? So you're gonna have to really motivate them to wanna continue finishing, or motivate them to work a little quicker. Now, at this point, I have like a supply person hand out scissors and glue sticks, and if you haven't handed out like a trash bucket for each table, that would be the time. So then, once all of that is done, I let the students who have actually brought in their materials begin decorating, and they love this. For the students who haven't, what I do is I take from my stack. Now, I just wanted to say real quickly that, you know, throughout the magazine, sometimes there'll be something that certain kids deem inappropriate. That's a very popular word in 3rd grade. That's inappropriate. Okay. So everybody's opinion of what is appropriate and what is not is different, right? So what I tell the students is that I do not want them, if they think something is inappropriate, to go around and start showing a bunch of kids, because one, that prevents the other kids from doing what is expected. 2, it doesn't meet my classroom expectations. And 3, it's the amount of kids on task in your control is gonna disappear really quick if you allow that to happen. So just word of the wise. So what I tell the students is if they see something that they think is inappropriate, that they should just rip it out and throw it away. If they need to tell me, they can tell me. And I just say, yes, that's inappropriate, go ahead and throw it away. Because you can't really prevent what's inside the magazines versus what's not. So that is one thing to be mindful of. Now, the other thing that I wanted to say is that, you know, when this is happening, the kids do not need to be chit-chatting with one another. So I do another trick, and I'll go into like a longer video about this. But what I do is I tell the kids my expectations, and within like 5 to 10 minutes, if I see somebody hitting those expectations, I'll open up something special for them. So initially, all of my students need to be working at their seats. And then what I might say to the student is, would you like to go work around the room? Or would you like to have a friend sit next to you? Or would you like to go sit next to your friend? Okay, all the ears are gonna start perking up. They're gonna start getting so excited and go, okay, well, wait, what did that kid do? I need to do that because I want to have the option to sit next to my friend or to work around the room or whatever it may be. So this works really well. And you don't release it to all of the students. Do it slowly, little by little, because that is going to prompt those kids, okay, this is what my teacher wants. And when she sees it, wow, look what I get. So, oh wow, that's what she wants. Okay, I get it. And so that you're kind of training them, right? But you're also showing them that you trust them. And that's a huge way to kind of get kids to know that you believe in them. Now, of course, if the child goes down and they start, you know, like onto the floor or wherever they're working, or they're sitting next to their friend or the friend's next to them, and they start making, you know, decisions or things that are not meeting your expectation, then yeah, you send them back to your seat and you say, go ahead and try again, we'll see how you go. So you do need to be very careful to keep up on that. Now, throughout this whole process, the kids absolutely love this. It's just a really nice thing to do. I like to do it first thing in the morning, so we usually start about 8:40 or so, and then we go to about 9:40, and then I get them ready for recess. So it's really, really nice. In that 10 minutes before recess, the students are putting their materials away. So if they brought magazines, they put those into their backpacks to go home, and then they are putting the materials away. They're cleaning up their desks, getting everything back organized, and then they put their decorated composition book into their cubbies or wherever you're storing them. I know some people store them in tubs, by tables, or whatever it may be. All right, you guys, so this is my finished product. I actually made this one in 2012, and that was the year that I was like obsessed with lazy rivers. I still am, but I love lemons and gardening, and I love being outdoors. I used to ride a bike a lot. I had a felt bike, so that's why that's on there. And overall, it's holding up really, really well. So if this is something that you want to do with your students, it's super simple to do. I would allocate about an hour to allow them just to cut things out and glue things, and it's a great way to end out your first week of school. So anyway, I hope that you do it. If you do, leave me a comment down below. Let me know how it went, or let me know if you have any questions, if this video didn't answer any of that. Make sure you go watch everyone in this collab. It's a pretty small collab this time, but hopefully there's some really good information for you guys. There's a playlist down below. Everyone teases me because I always say there's a playlist. Anyway, there's a playlist down below. You can click that. While you're here though, make sure you subscribe, like, and share this video with everyone. All right, you guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.